Welcome to Podcast This Escape, the podcast where we talk about the escape room we escaped from on the previous episode of this podcast. Marcus, Nathan, you did it. Congratulations.
You scooped it.
You scooped it.
We scooped the scoops.
Got the scoop. Oh my gosh.
That was great. It was really lovely to have you guys on. You worked through it really well. Did you enjoy the room?
Of course. That was a blast.
Oh yeah, delightful. I enjoyed being a Jenny Mudge school journalist and my trusty dog McGruff. Wow, just fantastic vibes.
Are those two copywritten names? Did we think about that at all?
No one's going to sue us for using McGruff. That'd be bad publicity for them.
And if there's anything that the police don't want, it's bad publicity.
I don't think the police are involved in suing.
I hear that the McGruff lobby is extremely litigious, though, so you're really going to want to watch out.
McGruff this has nothing to do with the escape room we've done. McGruff is not a thing that exists in Australia as like McGruff the crime dog. That's a whole whatever. But I don't think I ever knew anything about him. And then we watched someone like reviewing like old videos that had McGruff in them, and it was just like I didn't expect him to be. He was just like, "Hey kids, it's me. I'm McGruff."
He was terrifying.
Hey, those who cross the road, kids. Oh, you're gonna get hit by a car. I'm McGruff. Like, it was so intense.
He was grim.
It was great. I loved it.
Oh yeah.
What a role model he is.
But no,
Honestly, for the generations.
He clearly was a 2-pack-a-day smoker.
At least.
Really relatable to the children of the era.
Exactly. But look, I really enjoyed this room. I play tested this quite recently, and it was nice to hear you guys play through it as well. There were some things
said the things that I wanted you to say.
Yeah, you did a lot better at kind of catching on to the way certain things worked, which was lovely. But then also, there were some things that you missed in ways that I got immediately. It was very funny to hear.
It was mainly the one thing.
But
mainly the cone.
Maybe the cone. But I will say, before we go into any details, is there anything that you had, any moment in the room that you felt good about, that you felt like smart, that you enjoyed?
What was your shining moment?
A moment that you were like, yes, I did that.
2 moments stand out. Well, 3, I guess. Well, so like one, getting the magnet, but then immediately forgetting about the umbrellas. That emotional arc.
Our
of
greatest
high
victory, our greatest failure.
Yeah, I love that. And then like figuring out the lights with the box and the cash box. That was
Well
just
done.
delightful. I love that.
I felt I was so worried with that because you got that like straight, like you saw the light and you were like, oh, I wonder if they'll act like black lights. We should take that box with the scribbles on them. We should hold it under these lights. And I was like, oh, I wonder how Danny's going to deal with this.
In a real escape room, that would be a horrible, horrible design choice. But having GM powers, I made you focus on the top, which is the worst of the images and the one that you needed a nothing light. But it also makes sense that you would have been looking at the top.
But I suppose there's also, because in my head, like I was thinking if I was going to handle that situation from a game mastering perspective, it would have been like, well, it depends how much you want to give away, because you could just be like, oh, well, you hold the box under the light, or one side under the light, and hey, it's a letter F. But under another light, it's a K, and under another light, it's an E, and under another light. So you don't, obviously, like it resolves into different shapes, but you don't know which is which, because then you have too many options.
In a real physical escape room, that is the best way to do
That's
that.
how you would do it, I think, in a real escape room, so that people need the clues, so they can't just brute force.
Well, I can't think of that quickly.
I definitely want to talk about more about that puzzle, but I'm also curious, what was your third highlight?
What was your third highlight?
Oh, solving the cube with the birthday -5. I thought we had a great tag team moment there. I was like, oh, it's B-Day. And then Marcus was like, oh, -5. Got it.
Yeah,
Boom.
obviously.
Well done.
It was good anagramming.
It was also fun. I'm sure this doesn't always happen, or maybe it does. Maybe you design it to be this way, but it's cool that the first piece of evidence was the last piece we used. Nice bookend there.
That was very fortunate, but I think you went to the counter pretty early as well, didn't you?
It's a very alluring counter.
I guess so.
Well, I mean, if you're there to find the scoop, you got to go to the ice cream, you know? I think both of us had our share of, of course, the 2x8 is something I noticed.
Nice.
Or prime numbers is something he noticed. I, did not make any of that kind of connection. So I appreciated.
Very well together.
Yeah, I like to think we're a good team.
Yeah,
it went great.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say I really liked your process as a team on the ice cream stuff, because it was really fun to like. It's. I think from a design perspective, I'm sure Danny, you were quite happy about this because it was like
so thrilled how that went.
Here is the ice cream. Oh, it's got these colors. Oh, some of these are doubled up. Wait, all of them are doubled up. Okay, maybe let's bank that away. We might need something to like give a key to that later. And it's like, let's look at the whiteboard. Okay, the whiteboard has yeses and nos. Maybe at some point we'll get yeses or something, nos on something.
Thank you for saying you looked at that notice board immediately and you went through it and then you went, lots of yes and no's is a theme going on here.
I didn't
really
get
wanted
straight
that.
away, the yes and the no's. And so you kind of bank that away. And then later on, we're like, okay, we finally found the third part. We've got a series of colors. That's a series of ice creams. And there was just like this kind of lull, this moment of like, well, how do we, and then that moment of, wait a minute, the noteboard's also 8x2. And like, it was that perfect, like, there's one key that we're missing. You found it, and then it all just sort of came together. Now we know yes on this, no on this. Now we have the colors. And it was really like perfect flow for how that puzzle worked.
Yeah, you worded things great. You found the colors on Josh's picture and you went, oh, these do match the ice creams, but there are multiples. I guess there must be one more piece of information somewhere.
You were very good at noting. And that's we talked about that before. That's an escape room skill or a puzzle skill that is a really, like, it makes a huge difference on how people do, which is the capacity to see a puzzle and know, like, this is going to have more information. Like, I'm not going to waste time trying this now. There's going to be something that's going to help. And you were very good at that consistently throughout the room.
Thank you. So that last puzzle, I think I am more used to, you know, there might be simultaneous puzzles going on at once, but usually a single puzzle has at max like 3 components to it. And when you solve one, you get another, you know? So like you get these brief spurts of like, I'm a genius, I'm an idiot, I'm a genius. So this was really fascinating to me. And, you know, I think it's a design ethos thing that I've noticed in other escape rooms I've listened to of yours. But there's a real buildup. That was, we had to figure out, you know, primed and primates. I was like, Nathan's so smart, but that didn't matter much until we needed to figure out the primates and the primes and then the box. And then like there's so many aspects
that was true. Almost like 2/3 of the objects in the room ended up coming down to this puzzle. I didn't think of it in that way.
Yeah, and you sometimes, I feel like we've talked about this before, Danny, that you sort of go back and forth as to how your rooms are structured. And sometimes you have rooms where it's like collect, and then it all fits together at the end. And sometimes it is like one thing leads to one thing leads to one thing, and they're all solved.
Right.
Do you know when you're doing that, or do you just like sort of get to the end and be like, oh, well, look what I've done?
I never have any idea as I'm doing it. So I draw the arrows in my notes, and occasionally I look at them and go, why is there just one arrow going from one thing to the other? That's boring. Let's just throw some other arrows in here. Let's see what happens.
I mean, technically, this was a 2-puzzle escape room.
A little bit.
In a sense.
Yeah, it really was.
Ooh.
There was a key and there was a box. So everything else, and I think that's really cool. I think that's a skill to make puzzles where you can be like, the information for this is not immediately apparent, but, you know, oh, I'm collecting the pieces. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It is very funny. So the way that I structure my notes for all of these rooms, I have the introduction, I have the observable items. So the first thing you can do when you go and look at a thing. Then I have the actions section, and then all of the conclusion. And it is very interesting. I notice a disparity in my rooms sometimes, where often, especially in a lot of my earlier rooms, the observable items would be, every item would get 2 lines of description. And then there would be about 25 actions for all of the different things that could take place. But some of them, like this one, there was a lot more in the observing and then not that many actions that you had to take in regards to things, because a lot of it was solved just by looking at them and being able to do it in your own paper and your own minds. So those are the 2 big differences I noticed between my types of rooms. The ones where there are more actions, where I have to tell you, yes, this is what your action does, versus you looking at stuff and that solving the puzzle on its own.
That was cool and also tricky to have, you know, a plethora of clues and information and be like, ultimately, we have one place to put all of this, or 2 places.
The amount of times the number 6 showed up was impressive.
Yeah.
That was quite something. Yeah, unfortunate that the word magnet has 6 letters, but that's okay because by the time you got all the other 6 stuff, you'd already dealt with that part.
Well, yeah,
so
because
it's okay.
that's the nice thing about like reducing that ambiguity is that you kind of have to solve the magnet puzzle, finish it, put it away to get to the 6 lights.
Yeah.
Like, so it very much delineates them. So like I didn't get confused over the like delights match magnets. Like that didn't worry me at all, and I don't think it got you guys either.
Yeah.
So it was nice because usually we'd note that we'd be like, oh my god, you have 6 in 2 places, we can't do that, you have to cut that. One of the things that was different, and I found this really interesting for the ice cream puzzle, is we changed a bit of the way that worked, which was that originally only some of the ice cream flavors were ambiguous, whereas others were certain. So like there was only one toffee colored thing, and there was only one. Like espresso colored thing.
I had accidentally made too many of them unambiguous for sure.
And only like 2 or 3 of them were ambiguous. And so it was, I think I didn't have that same push to be like, well, I need to disambiguate these with another puzzle. I was like, oh wait, am I just looking at them wrong? Should I be?
But that was a deliberate playtest choice to change that, and
I think
based on how
difference.
you talked, that was exactly what it needed.
Yeah, so it was nice to see that kind of worked to get you in the right mood early on.
The one other change, the one that we deliberated over for much longer, was the primes then primates.
Oh, yes.
That worked perfectly.
So originally,
I'm so happy.
it was such a subtle thing. It was prime and primate, not prime then primate.
Oh.
And so I was mixing and doing like top front, nothing whistling, right bottom, and mix it. And I got and it was so lovely to hear you go, wait a minute, prime then primate? Why don't we do all the prime in order and then we'll stop and then we'll move on to the primate? And I was like, oh, that's exactly what we wanted. I'm so glad. It was the perfect little change. And it made such a difference.
That was helpful too, because my brain was really straining at the top, right, left stuff because I'm so used to that meaning, move something a direction or referring to the location of lights. So it was helpful to have it in 2 chunks to be like, oh, we have 2 word pairs here.
And I think it also made you more inclined to do them as like top nothing, right humming, left buzzing, and like pair them up that way when you're looking at like, let's just do the primes.
Smaller chunks.
Whereas I was like mixing and matching and being like, oh, maybe top is here, and I thought I was looking for like 6 more lights that fit the other words, and I got a much more like, I didn't feel like I had the direction, and so I think I'm so glad that felt like it made a big difference. Just the word, just changing an and to a then changes it so much. I wanted to talk about prime and primate because I'm intrigued, which is that Nathan, when you read the door,
oh, you just said it.
You just went, oh, that's prime and primate, but you looked like you were just reading it, not adding the other words in that you'd seen. Danny, you didn't write prime and primate.
I probably did.
Or did you? And then was it still visible as prime and primate, or did you just automatically add the other door in?
I could kind of see like an I and an R, and so prime the primate.
Because I can't see that on the door at all.
I thought it was time, maybe.
Oh, I do see it. When you zoom really in, you can still see the little bits of pry and pry. I would never have got that myself. I needed the other one. That's so funny.
If you zoom super in.
Yeah, you're right. If you zoom in, you can see it says prime. Because I wasn't sure, because I thought Danny hadn't done that. I thought Danny had just written M-E and M-A-T-E. And that you were just like, and I was like, well, how did he just like trick himself? And just he was thinking
it
prime.
definitely sounded like that.
But you could actually read the prime.
You're zooming in. I still can't see it very well.
It's so subtle. I would never, and because I did a playtest, I had no idea.
I did not even.
One time I
zoom
did a
in.
puzzle. I did a puzzle where the kind of the solution to I did for Enigmarch actually. The solution to the puzzle was turning up the contrast on your screen because there were some words that were completely like super difficult to read. Yeah.
And I wonder as well if that's what's going on here a little bit. Like I wonder if like your computer.
We have different screens.
Because we already found that with like the ice cream opening on one computer.
Ice cream colours
the
on
colours
our
are slightly
iPad and
different.
computer.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
They're all still the same and the same as each other, but it was like, oh, that's not the same kind of red as it is on one device to the other. So I wonder if it's a bit clearer on yours than on ours, so we didn't notice it.
Fine, I'll redo the picture and erase the letters.
I'd erase
and
those
then
letters
cover
just
them.
in case.
Fine.
People just read it and be like, yep, done. That was very funny because you just read it and it's like, oh, did he just solve that really quickly? Or that's very funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Danny, do you have anything in this room that you liked, that you had trouble with, that you found the most fun to write?
Oh, definitely the notice board.
The notice board is lovely. We're mad about
The state of things.
the state of things. That's good. That is a good little bit.
But I also very much enjoyed. I can only remember it in one point, but we had this with two things when we did the playtest. One was, yes, I made the notice board a whiteboard, and you immediately went, "That's ridiculous. Why would it be a whiteboard?
Yeah.
What
How
even
dare
is this?
you."
Who does that?" And I just had to come up with some argument for why it makes total sense to use a whiteboard without revealing that it's because you need magnets.
Yeah, we had a long discussion in the playtest.
But there was another
involving
one.
Googling.
Wasn't there? There was something else.
Maybe there was. About the tiles, maybe? Or I can't remember. No, or about the placement of the primates?
I don't remember.
There was something else.
No.
Yeah. Like if I look through my notes, it's so wild because I've got like my notes say, like with those lights, it's like fine gorilla, whistles orangutan, humming 7, cracked lemur, buzzing 13, broken 3, and I was like, wow, what am I going to do with this? And, like the order of the lights is gorilla, orangutan, 7, lemur, 13, 3. That's not a 4-digit code. What am I doing here? I was so confused. It's very funny. But no, I can't remember. There was something else. But yeah, it was. You did well with that. Like, because it is my first thought seeing the whiteboard is why would it be a whiteboard? And I'm glad that in the end it does matter. And you had the same moment, I think.
That's
glad
a
I mentioned
Chekhov's
it.
gun. It's one of those Chekhov's gun moments where it's actually awesome when you can come up with a puzzle where you just give someone information. You don't open a door. You're just like, hey, look at those magnets. That's very fun. Because then it's like, oh, it was there the whole time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right in front
And
of us.
well
yeah.
done on that note for spotting. Why are they mentioning the floor again as I walk across to the door?
Yes, that's a classic.
If anything, the reason it was rude of me. I think I interrupted you there because I was like, I don't want to be made a fool of. I know there's something.
There's definitely something on this floor.
I still found plenty of ways to make a fool of myself, so there was no worries there.
No, like, yeah, again, we teased you about the cone umbrella connection thing, about missing that. It's because you were doing everything else so well, we needed to grab onto something.
Yeah, was there, I guess you sort of already talked about this, but was there a part that was most fun to watch us solve?
Yeah.
I did. I think it was the ice cream. Like, it was great to just see that because you just did it exactly like the textbook. This is how they're meant to do it. Like, this is how the puzzle is written. It should be find this, get confused, find that, get confused, find this, see that it could be this, but not know the third part, realize you've had the third part the whole time, mix all three together, come out with a code. Like, it was great to see. And it was also fun because you got the cone wrong and then immediately and then you corrected yourself. Like, oh, I'm an idiot. The cone is definitely important. I didn't even think about the cone. I ignored the cone. Well, now we know the cone is super important. And then you just left for 5 minutes so you could be like, well, magnet, there's only the ice cream. There's nothing else of importance on that poster. And it was just very funny. Because it's so easy to
Immediately
do.
threw that
It's just,
away.
you just set these rules in your head of like, this is what I know. It's just like you just need a moment of like, hold on a second, wait a minute, is that what you needed? Do you have other facts?
Honestly, after we got the word magnet, I probably deleted the tab like off my
It's
computer.
gone, it's out, don't need it anymore.
Woo.
That's the saddest moment in one of these games is getting rid of something, crossing it off or closing the
Too
browser
early.
and then 5 minutes later going, okay, I'll open it back up again. I thought I
Scroll
was
through the-
done. But no, I think look, it was very fun. I think you did very well playing through it. It was great. I like that we had another dog in the room. It's the third time someone's played a
Yes.
dog. I think it's the third
How
dog that's
many?
appeared as a player.
And only the second when it wasn't by force.
Yes, yeah, true. But it was great. And having a Jenny Mudge character is perfect for a school newspaper reporter.
And yet again, Danny has proved that the limits on what can be an escape room are nil. There is no limit.
Yeah, there's no setting
I
too
love that.
mundane.
Well, this is the funny part was that I was saying I've used this plot before. I used this plot a year ago. Of
But it was
food
on
is
a
going
farm.
out there and making people sick, but that was the farm setting instead.
Yeah.
Oh,
And now it's an ice cream setting. but it's done. But the rooms don't feel the same because that's the fun thing. Even with the same,
They're very different rooms.
it's like the fact that you can do Sherlock Holmes mystery room at every single escape room company, and you generally are not doing the same room. It's like, that's just the trapping for them to do puzzles. And
so it was a bit of
design.
an unhappy jolt when I realized I hadn't done this on purpose. I'm also okay with it when I got halfway through designing this room and went, oh, wait a second.
Already done
that was
this.
uncomfortable, but had I thought about it, I would have been okay with it.
You're like 6 years into the show and you're finally doubling up on themes and ideas.
Yeah, everyone keeps asking, aren't you going to run out of locations? No, that's not the problem.
Yeah. Motivation is the problem.
That's why I ended up in this place where I'm having difficulty with solve this murder, because there are only so many motivations that are big enough to make someone murder.
Right. That's so true.
Yep.
I mean, hey, do what we do, which is you just take it to new settings, new places.
Yeah, you've been doing it in great ways. I've been really enjoying it. I 100% called the classroom one. I feel good about that.
Oh, yeah.
You got it straight away.
Nice.
All right, so look, that was great fun. Do we have anything else that we want to talk about with the room, with the breakdown of that?
Would you're doing murder mysteries? You ever going to do escape room podcast
Oh,
games?
yeah.
Like you love
wouldn't
your
that be
puzzles.
rude?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
We've copied you once. Shall we really do it again?
Well, if you ever have a room you want to write it and run it on for us on the show, feel free.
Yeah,
I would actually love that. I think
Yeah.
I already talked about feeling like Nathan and I make a pretty good team. I wonder if we could both run a room the way that you two run a room, and we could run it for both of you.
That would be fantastic.
That'd be a great idea.
Like, I would love to play that. And yeah, we can do a double feed and put it out for both.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah, logistics. I don't care about podcasting logistics. I just want to play games.
Yeah.
Same.
Well, wonderful. Look, thank you so much for coming on. It was great to have you. You solved the room. It was very fun to listen to. For people who want to check out the stuff that you're doing,
And please do.
and for people, go check it out. Do you want to give a rundown of where people can find you and what they can find?
So for Aurelius Whitlock, let me pause while I pull up so I get the right tag and don't give it something wrong.
You can find me at 1471 East, 950.
Social security number 891.
Cool. Okay. So you can find our podcast, Aurelius Whitlock's Murder Museum, on Spotify, Apple. We're also at Murder Museum Pod on Instagram, on social media. Personally, I'm also on Instagram as December_next. I do puzzles on there, kind of Enigmarch style puzzles.
Oh yeah, Enigmarch.
So, yeah.
We must be in the midst of that by the time this is
Oh, you're right. Oh my
This
god.
episode's releasing in the midst of Enigmarch, so I hope everyone's enjoying the puzzles.
And then, I think I shouted this out last episode, but we also wrote a book called Riddlesburg, and I don't know the best way to find that. I could list off the web address, but
HTTP.
do what they do on Finish It, call out every
Yeah, exactly.
every word.
Like, we'll definitely have links.
Yeah, look, there'll be a link to Riddlesburg and Aurelius Whitlock's Murder Museum, all that stuff in the show notes below. And if you're listening, go and check it out. It's fantastic. If you like our stuff, you will like their stuff. So
Maybe
go and
more.
listen. No, less. Oh, wait. Wait a minute.
We're discount
just
Escapist
as much.
podcast, not premium Escapist
Our
podcast.
latest
We're not
Solve
name
This
brand.
Murder
We're like-
is 8 parts. 8 parts.
It's good. It's a good length. And for people who want to help spread the word about this show, just tell a friend, tell someone, go and get on an internet forum and be like, oh, go check out Escape This Podcast. This is your voice, listener. Go check out Escape This Podcast. It's so good. So it's the best way you can support the show. The other great way you can support the show is to sign up for the Patreon. If you want to help give money to support the show, it's our main form of income. It's very helpful. Every dollar you send us pays
Makes
for
you happier.
for food. So please do.
Makes us less hungry.
It makes us less hungry. But you can do that. Anyone who appears at any level has a chance to appear as an NPC in one of Danny's rooms.
Yes, we had George Raub and Josh Mullen. Thank you so much. Uncle George and Nephew Josh.
Yeah, welcome to the Pantheon. And for $5 donors, there are bonus episodes. You can hear the playtest audio for this room. You can hear our series of 2-minute mysteries and a whole bunch of other fun, ridiculous stuff. And then there are badges for $10 donors and other cool things. So check it out. It's a great way to support the show and to support the rest of the audience who hears it for free. They get great quality stuff because you are helping to make that happen. All right, wonderful. I think we're done.
You're making me just think if we had to go back to working regular people jobs and still attempting to make this at the same time.
If we have to go back and work full time, the podcast is over. Deal with it, everybody.
That's upsetting to visualize.
Too much work.
That's going to be a much cheaper podcast.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. And thank you again, Nathan and Marcus, for coming on.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much for having
audience.
us.
Yeah, thanks for having. Bye.